What did you break?
Well, I finally got new brakes. Christmas gift. I got brakes for Christmas. But we're back with the 2007 Yaris. Finally going to put some new rotors and pads on, and drums and rotors and springs on the back. And getting ready to see if the anti-seize has made it so the wheels aren't welded to it. So far, it's not so promising.
What is up with this car?
Yep, I need dead blow. Okay. My work car. There's a piece of tree in the wheel works. It's still hard to get on and off, but it came off a whole lot easier, so it is better. It didn't take us 30 minutes. So this was the main one to replace because, yeah, it's slowly disintegrating.
It looks like hash browns. Looks like the bottom of a Waffle House deep fryer.
I'm actually starting to the point where I have heard parts come off of this, I think. So
That's typical for this channel. That sounds like an us.
all right. This should be loosening.
Okay, what size is that?
That's 17 millimeter.
Alrighty-o. And so for the bolts on the back of the caliper, there's really nothing to shoot here. So yeah, 17 millimeter, there you go.
Okay, I'm going to show a trick that might seem obvious, but it's something I never thought to do. And that's when you have a bolt like this that's rusted tight. You can take your ratchet and just tap it with a dead blow.
Don't use a metal hammer.
No, you want to use dead blow or a rubber mallet or something that's not going to hurt
If you're
anything.
going to use a metal hammer, use the little teeny tiny one.
And that will break it loose. And it's a lot gentler than having to do with all kinds of pipe and stuff doing leverage. A little less likely to shear it off.
And using this channel's favorite tool, a broken screwdriver.
Screwdriver to try to pry this off of the rust ridge. There we go. All the rust. And yeah, there's no pad on that. Look at that. That's bald. There's no pad left on the back pad at all. So I'm definitely needing to replace these brakes.
Oh yeah, and the rim. Or rim, rotor, whatever.
The doohickey. Okay, now I need...
The tire record.
Wonder why I keep the old paint cans. There we go.
Sure.
He improvised that. That is not why he keeps the paint cans.
That's why I said sure.
I think that paint can has parts in it, or bolts or something. I need a board.
He keeps them because of the board. Do I need to get zip ties to hold up the brake caliper?
Now, I gotta figure out if I can get the rotor off. Alright. These are, I don't know what thread, but they have two spots here where you use it to push this off. And you just go back and forth and it comes off. I'll use the thread gauge later and see if I can't find what gauge that is.
We're under attack.
The Canadians are invading again.
Doop doo 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 doop. Doop doo 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 doop doop.
But you can see where it pushed off. These all look good. So now it's just got to get the new parts out of the house and bring them out.
Okay, I've been told I want a glove, but I'm too lazy to get a glove, so there we are.
Don't touch the anti-seize. It may cause cancer in the state of California.
Good thing we're not in California. Yep, there it is. It was not pulled off the Titanic, I promise.
Look at the inside. This is what was disintegrating.
Good look. Look at all that.
And that was metal on metal. Look at just how horrible that is.
If your rotor looks like this, change it. Good Lord.
And then you got...
It's so smooth. All right. Jeez. Yeah, I think you had a problem, sir.
Yep.
One dead brake pad.
It's got like a millimeter or half a millimeter of material left on it.
That is a dead brake pad. Yeah, it's gone.
Do this without bleeding the system, which this has got good pressure. Taking the cap off. And sometimes if everything's working and you're careful, you can just push this cylinder back in with the cap off of the reservoir. Another tool for a broken screwdriver.
I swear I'm going to change the channel name one day on you to Broken Screwdriver. So you putting your moldy rotor on?
Yeah, I'm going to put the moldy rotor on.
Good Lord. Focus. Focus. Focus.
Yeah.
There it goes.
They're good and clean. They're not rusty or anything, but good grief, the cardboard box these things are in were musty.
Good Lord. It is killing me back here.
You buy the garbage.
Oh man, I'm dying.
Explain to us what you're doing.
Okay, I went through, and even though this one didn't really need it, I cleaned up all the surfaces with a file to make sure there's no raised rust areas. Used a little brake clean and getting the brackets off to put the new brackets on. And the next step is going to be to put the brackets on and put those pads on.
Those little clips that hold the the brake shoe or brake pads in. Brakes are the most confusing terminology.
Because everything's brake something.
Well, at least I'm not calling brake calipers rims.
But again, good bent screwdriver. I like this for this stuff. That little bend in it's useful. I don't even know where that screwdriver came from. I think I got it with the house. Alright. And now new brackets. The new pads. Going like that. We got use this to push the bracket back with the reservoir open. And the good thing about doing that, if you do that, it also gives you an idea whether these soft lines have failed, because if you open that up and it will not move, a lot of times that means these soft lines have failed, so they're not letting fluid back. Also, if you have a leak, when you do that, it'll leak. So,
yes. Compressing your cylinder will, or your piston will tell you a lot about your system.
Go ahead.
Okay, got these little brackets. These are the new ones. They're all the same bracket on this one. There's these little parts that came in the kit that there's no corresponding anything on here to these, so I'm guessing they're for something I don't have. But these, they all just snap in, and the best way to do it is kind of push this side in, and then start pushing this side, and just take a screwdriver and push it up and work it in there. So it takes a little bit, but it gets in there. And then once you get these in, you can use a little bit of brake grease to help your pads move, or not, depends how you feel. I've had to just tap this on, and I said I sprayed everything down, cleaned it up, brake clean, tap this on, lined up this upper bolt. Gonna start that in, because this goes in here. Start this bolt up so I can get the lower bolt in. I'm going to be careful on that. I'm not sure. I'm going to back that out and redo it just in case, because I don't like how the threads feel, but I got to hold it so I can get that lower section. I also had to use a bigger pry bar when the pads were in there to push that cylinder back in a little bit more, bracing off of this hole here and pushing the inside pad in so that cylinder went in a little bit more so it would get on the rotor.
You didn't damage the pad friction material, did you?
Nope, I did it in the little gap between them. Now I gotta try to figure out if that's on the hole or not, which is always fun because you can't see anything.
If only they made cars see-through.
Did you grease your slag pins?
No, I didn't. Well, I'm not taking it back apart.
That moment when you accidentally cross-thread a bolt?
Yeah. I'm going to tighten that a little bit more, but that thing will not thread right. It cross-threaded, backed it out, tried to thread again, backed it out, tried to do it again. Well, it's just going to be that way.
I thought he was done, but he said luckily the threads are in the caliper, so next time he just buys a bolt and a caliper.
Yeah. and it's going to hold. It's definitely not going to back its way out.
Or at least if it does, at least it's the one that's leading you to the ditch. So, you know, it's a quick death.
No, it's better than hitting the semi.
True.
The best way to get these compressed, Carl showed his trick. This is mine. You get a big C-clamp like this, and you put the outside here, making sure not to damage any of the, like, bleeder things or the banjo bolt that holds the brake line on. And you get an old caliper, or an old brake pad, and put it up against the piston, and you just gently turn it till it
Compresses
the piston back in. And the slower you go when turning the clamp, the less resistance you'll get. So the slower you go, the easier it'll be.
It still does the same thing. It shows that you never have leaks. You just have to have the cap off of your brake reservoir so it can vent. And we got on this side, we're doing the calipers. We had a lock caliper on this side, so I'm pulling them. Slide pin. We had a locked one, so I pulled them and cleaned them out. Did my trick with a piece of wire and a towel and some cleaning stuff. And since I they didn't give anything with this, I'm probably just going to use axle grease, wheel bearing grease. Since it is temp rated, I don't know what else to use in it. I don't have anything else really that will work in it. So, and to pull these, I twisted them a little bit with a wrench, and then just gently slid the boots off of them. Kit showed me that. I've never had any luck. He was able to get them off. Every time I've ever tried to do it, these boots have failed, and the pins have failed, and I end up getting new calipers.
Well, apparently, I'm teaching Carl something new about taking off these floating calipers. You have to take off these two 14mm bolts, and you can swing the caliper off without even taking the caliper bracket off, and you have to grease these slide pins. He's afraid that he's going to break them, so I'm back over here on the passenger side doing it.
Yeah, it's one of those with stuff I've dealt with. When I get to the point where those are bad, they normally move just fine, so I don't worry about them. But if I'm to the point where those are a problem, I'm replacing the whole mechanism. Otherwise, I'm just doing rotors and pads normally.
Alright, applied more grease to them. This one was really hard to push before, but now look, the rubber has enough tension to push it back out. So this slides freely, and this one slides freely.
They did both move, though.
Yep. The other side, the driver's side had one that was totally seized. It wouldn't move in and out, and you couldn't turn it. So, yeah.
I never realized this was easy. Got this all greased and back together, and the pads and the clips and all in there. This was so much easier this way than how I did it on the first one. So I recommend taking them off, doing the grease trick, and just going with it. And what I cleaned out of this one was axle grease, so wheel bearing grease. So wheel bearing grease went back in. Oh, it's the next day, but still night, and it has brakes. It definitely has better brakes. The front ones are very good. This thing doesn't have anti-lock brakes, and now I actually have to be mindful of the fact that these tires do not get good traction, and this doesn't have anti-lock brakes, because the entire time I've owned it, it's never been able to lock a tire up. It will lock the front tires up easily now. So they work. And the rear brakes are done as well. That's the next video. And they also work. So, as always, like, share, subscribe, comment if you enjoyed it, or if you didn't, either one, still share it.
Share it with those you don't like.
Yes.
And this week you saw the front. Next week you'll see the rear.
And until next time, have a good one.